woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Spirit. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Spirit. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Walking and talking with my mind stayed on Spirit. Walking and talking with my mind stayed on Spirit. Walking and talking with my mind stayed on Spirit. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Good morning, CSL Simi Valley. Welcome to another Sunday morning Virch service. Now, if you've been to my office, you know you might recognize this spot, or maybe you've noticed the parking lot right there. Yes, I am at the center because we're getting ready for the opening. And things are, well, they're a little chaotic right now. But what I know is that chaos is the birthplace of order. And as you look around the sanctuary and look around the lobby and look around at what used to be the bookstore and see the piles of stuff that are stacked up everywhere, that's just the chaos of order unfolding. So get ready. And if you're one of those that likes to do the kind of thing of taking stuff that looks chaotic and helping turn it into order, maybe you might want to volunteer to support the process of freshening up and getting us ready for the reopening when we all come back together in a safe way, continuing with social distancing. There will still be masks to be worn as we roll out the changes in the restrictions, but the one thing is, we'll get to come back together. And we will still have the virtual aspect, so there'll still be Virch and church will come together, and we'll continue to have the mashup of the two in our community. And one way I know to guarantee moving from chaos into order is through treatment. So let's go to an opening treatment with our dear Reverend Maggie to bless the service. Reverend Maggie, you're up.
Good morning. Please join me in an opening prayer. Take a deep breath and let it go. And let's come together in spirit, knowing that there's only one, that we are that essence in this universe that sends unconditional love out. We know that this service is already blessed, and the people in this service are blessed. It's a perfect thing right here and now, that you hear exactly what it is you need to hear. We enjoy the beautiful musicians and all of the staff and practitioners that put this on today. We are so blessed, and I'm so grateful for all of it. I'm grateful for this teaching and for Ernest Holmes for letting us know and understand what it is to be a human being in this universe. I release these words into the law of mind, knowing that it's done. And together we say, and so it is.
Thanks, Maggie. Beautiful treatment, as always. Blessings. One of our regular performers and guest artists at the center is Dennis Bryan. So grateful to have him. He supported us so wonderfully during our COVID Virch time with wonderful music videos and his cooperative spirit, and was our guest artist on Easter, and he does things for us he's done our candlelight service. And I kind of think of Dennis as less of a guest artist, more like a regular, like a family member. I think he's a member of the church. We should put him on the official membership roll. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. But he still likes to say hello, and here's Dennis to just sort of say a quick hello to you this morning.
Hi, Simi Valley. So great to be with you guys. If we have to be together like this, so be it. but I'm really looking forward to being with you guys in person. In the meantime, hope you enjoy these videos, and I'm so grateful that you had me again in the service. All right, hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Yes, Dennis, we will see you very soon. Can't wait to see you. I saw on the schedule with Cherie that you are on the list for guest artist in the next couple of months, so that means we will see you here in person. Yeah, we got hugs for you. In fact, hugs are on back order. I hear the shipment is ready, and they'll be delivered any day now, so stand by for that. Dennis, thank you for this first song that you give us. The first song Dennis is going to give us today, written by a friend of his, Marcy Baruch. It's called This Inner Space. Perfect for setting us up for the gap, because the gap meditation is that inner space. That's where we travel, the God awareness place, the place of silence between thoughts, between breaths, between ideas that conflict and even those that support. And in that moment of silence and quiet, in the inner space, as we enter the inner space, in that moment, wisdom, inspiration, intuition arises, settles, soothes, heals, informs, and blesses. So here's Dennis with his song, The Inner Space, and we'll follow that with the Gap Meditation led by Reverend Maggie.
This inner space has the power to set me free. It's the cavern of creation and the truth of you and me. This inner space, an eternity of time. It's the moment of the holy now and the allness that is mine. This inner space contains all that I need. From deep within the invisible flows the living air I breathe. This inner space is flowing in my bones. It stirs my heart, it stirs my mind, and every prayer I've ever known. And I say, breathe, just breathe. Now breathe this peace. This inner space is the ocean of your soul, and when you feel most broken, the truth is you are whole. This inner space connects us one to all, and though it would never push you, it will break down every wall. And I say, breathe, just breathe. Now breathe this peace. This inner space invites us to renew. In all my endless choosing, I become the chosen to. This inner space never knows a past. In a quiet place you can hear it, and it might just make you laugh. And I say, breathe, now breathe,
Now it's time for our gap meditation, God awareness place. All it is just take a deep breath, and when you have a chance to close your eyes, it's just 3 minutes. It'll be done before you know it. So let's take a deep breath and let it go. And I'll see you back here in 3 minutes. That felt good to me. You know, you can do a meditation at any time. Just take a deep breath. That's a meditation. Go for a walk. That's meditation. I'm with you in spirit, and I love you. Namaste.
I so enjoy those 3 minutes in the gap. And I look forward to spending those 3 minutes in the gap with us all in the sanctuary. But there's just something about that silent space and just allowing that deep inspiration to unfold from within the quiet. That sometimes silence is so loud when you're in the quiet, silent space of the gap, right? I love it. Another thing that I'm really thrilled about, not just only the meditation, I'm so thrilled about our guest speaker today. I mentioned her last week, Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt. Many of you are aware of her and maybe have visited her at either Chatsworth or Granada Hills or Westlake over the years. She has been a teacher, a writer, a prolific writer, editor of the Creative Thought magazine for many years, and just a powerful force within the Science of Mind teachings. Very important in the integration of our two former organizations into the one organization, Center for Spiritual Living. But what I really enjoy so much about Maureen is the depth of understanding of the science of mind principles that she brings to us. That's why I think of her out of the cloth of Emma Curtis Hopkins. She's a modern day teacher of teachers. She has seated so many ministers throughout the years that have visited her centers, been inspired, and have moved from the back row to the front row to the pulpit as a result of the inspiration and the teaching that she has brought to them. So I welcome her today into our service to bring you the talk for today. She's bringing the bigger bowl. Get ready. The bigger bowl with Dr. Maureen.
Good morning, everybody out there in TV land. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Simi Valley. Thank you so much to Reverend Stephen for inviting me here today. Some of you may know that I got my practitioner license here in 1987. And then I got my ministerial credential here in 1993 under the tutelage of Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones. So for me, it feels a little bit like coming home. Coming home. I appreciate that Reverend Steve gave me the talk title today, because one of my favorite books is The One Thing by Gary Keller, the great real estate mogul. And in it, he tells a rather long story about the begging bowl. Some of the Eastern stories are very often a little bit obscure, but this one is pretty well defined. Even though it's a little long, please bear with me. Upon coming out of his palace one morning and encountering a beggar, a king asks, "What do you want?" The beggar laughingly says, "You ask as though you can fulfill my desire." Offended, the king replies, "Of course I can. What is it?" The beggar warns, "Think twice before you promise anything." Now the beggar was no ordinary beggar, but the king's past life master, who promised in their former life, "I will come to try to wake you in your next life. This life you have missed, but I will come again to help you." The king, not recognizing his old friend, insisted, "I will fulfill anything you ask for I am a very powerful king who can fulfill pretty much any desire." The beggar said, "It's a very simple desire. Can you fill my begging bowl?" "Of course," said the king, and he instructed his vizier to fill the man's begging bowl with money. The vizier did, but when the money was poured into the bowl, it disappeared. So he poured more and more, but the moment he did, it would disappear. The begging bowl remained empty. Word spread throughout the kingdom, and a huge crowd gathered. The prestige and power of the king were at stake. So he told his vizier, "If my kingdom is to be lost, I am ready to lose it, but I cannot be defeated by this beggar." He continued to empty his wealth into the bowl. Diamonds, pearls, emeralds, everything of value that he had. His treasury was becoming empty. And yet the begging bowl seemed bottomless. Everything put into it immediately disappeared. Finally, as the crowd stood in utter silence, the king dropped at the beggar's feet and admitted defeat. "You are victorious," he said, "but before you go, fulfill my curiosity. What is the secret of this begging bowl?" The beggar humbly replied, "There is no secret. It is simply made up of human desire." So my question for you today is, how big is your bowl? Ernest Holmes said we can only demonstrate to the degree we believe we are worthy of demonstrating. If I believe I only deserve to live a mediocre life, then I have set the tendency in motion to do just that. If, on the other hand, I believe I deserve a wonderful life, and I require a greater evidence of my worthiness, I am likely to demonstrate to that degree. And yet, this is not a lesson today on how to acquire stuff and things. There's a bit of a caveat to this statement, though, in that as long as we learn to appreciate the things or the people we already have in our lives, we will be happy. That's just the bottom line. Remember that true happiness can only be found in appreciation of life, things, and people around us. As a human, it is our nature to seek for more and to ask for more. Our curiosity and our desire to be great or to be famous are the default in our DNAs. That's what we're made up of. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as we use it to help and empower other people. One of my very favorite Rumi quotes is the one where he says, "Be a lamp or a lifeboat or a ladder. Help someone's soul heal. Walk out of your house like a shepherd." That doesn't mean today or tomorrow or the next day, but every day of our lives. If we walk out of our homes as a shepherd every day, we will be in service to the general population. I reposted this favorite Rumi quote on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, and it's gone viral. Reverend Dr. Keith Cox picked it up in his post for May 8th, and it's gone out to hundreds and hundreds of people. Some may read it and see it as a lofty ideal, but they might need a bigger bowl. Others will see it and say, "I can do better today than I did yesterday." When we live our lives by default instead of by design, we often misunderstand the meaning of life. I learned years ago from one of my greatest teachers, Maureen, that every person I encounter on my life journey is my coach. Every person is my coach, whether they know it or not. They may not know that I need coaching. They may not consciously know that they are coaching me. They may never know how much they've added value to my life. And they may never cross paths with me again. All it takes is one encounter with souls meeting souls and hearts meeting hearts, and we have been shepherded or we have shepherded someone else. Every day we do this, we set an intention to fill someone else's bowl. And in the process, our bowl gets bigger and bigger with every effort we make toward serving others. Pema Chodron said that we're not here to fix or to heal anyone. We are here to serve. And by serving, again, we are filling someone else's bowl. The story has a powerful lesson in it. If we consciously seek fame, money, attention, and others' ego-centered personal priorities, our lives may still feel useless because we don't get filled up with stuff and things. Life without appreciation is empty. And while we may have every creature comfort, we may still feel unfulfilled. So the only way to circumvent the dissatisfaction of life is to serve in some way. This past Friday, actually a week ago Friday, once a month, I go to my friend Marilyn's home, where she hosts a potluck for an organization called Together Women Rise. It was formerly called Dining for Women. The money we might have spent for a dinner out at a restaurant, we donate to the monthly cause through Dining for Women. They've recently changed the name to be more inclusive because men started coming, mostly for the food in the beginning, but now they stay to see where their dollars are going. It usually features women with children in third world countries who have been abandoned by their husbands. $1 in an African country goes 10 times farther than it does here in the States. We see each month who is the recipient. The recipients are vetted, and oftentimes they return their gifts to perpetuate the giving to others. I often cry when I see the videos, realizing that we have so much and others have so little. And yet these people seem filled with joy. Their bowls are filled to overflowing because They are filled with the things that matter in life. The pandemic has been particularly difficult for those in economically distressed countries. If you want more information about the work they are doing, you can contact me, and maybe the center will put my website at the end or my email at the end so you can contact me. They could use a group like this in Simi Valley, but I digress. So we can create a bigger bowl in so many compassionate and generous ways. If at the end of the day I have served in some small way, I can close my eyes and be at peace at night. When I cleared out my dad's desk after he passed away, the following quote was written on several pieces of paper, and I don't know why he needed so many reminders of this, but this quote was all over the place. And a few years ago, my church administrator in Westlake was so generous with me. She took the quote and had it calligraphied and framed it for me. So it's now on the wall in my home. And the quote goes like this: if, instead of a gem or a flower, we should cast the gift of rich thought into the heart of a friend, that would be giving as the angels give. It's by George MacDonald. And I think my dad liked it as much because George MacDonald is a Canadian, as was my dad and as am I. Sometimes serving another simply means taking the time to engage in conversation. Ernest Holmes tells us the highest form of intimacy is communication, and that includes conversation. And he said we are to engage in those conversations from a place of heaven. Kindness is always at the forefront in our conversations. In this simple act, he would tell us that we're creating a bigger bowl. Now, unlike the king in the story, we are not here to amass great wealth, although there's nothing wrong with that, if the intention behind it is to share that wealth and share it generously. Those of you who are listening today can share that wealth with the center by hitting that donate button at the end of the service. And my ideal, I've always said this for years, I'm still waiting for it to happen, but I would like to live my life on 10% of my income and donate 90% of it. This would be the ideal for me. And I think about people like Bill and Melinda Gates and Warren Buffett and all those very, very wealthy people, Steve Jobs, although Steve Jobs is not around anymore, but whoever took his place, that those people would think about doing the same thing. Don't try to fill the begging bowl with stuff. That's a trap. That's a terrible trap that we get into. Fill the bowl with compassion, understanding, and kindness. And the fulfillment is experienced every time we walk out the door, because we've set the intention, as Rumi said, to be the shepherd of all these qualities of being. It is not what we get from life that fills us up. It's what we bring to it that really fills us up. If we are always looking for what we can get, like the king in the begging bowl story, we will just end up wondering why we never fulfill our desire, given that we have all the stuff and things, and we still don't feel happy. Again, without appreciation, we cannot find happiness. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful, even in the face of what appears to be in the outer world. Right now, there's so much stress. There's so much anxiety. There's so many people who are in discomfort because of having to be quarantined. But many of those people are finding themselves fulfilled in other ways. A couple of Sundays ago, I shared the story about my friend who was an incredibly well-to-do Beverly Hills waiter in a very upscale restaurant. And with the pandemic, he was furloughed from his job. But he had an avocation, and he would help people develop their websites. And so instead of feeling miserable because he didn't have a job, he began to charge for his services on a limited basis, on a sliding scale basis, if you will. And here today, a year and a half later, he's making more money than he ever did as a waiter, designing websites for people. And he's incredibly adept at doing it. So it's all in how we look at things. We're always looking for what we can get, we just end up wondering why we never fulfill our desires. Without appreciation, we cannot find happiness. Life is wonderful, as I said, and there are many blessings we have to appreciate. So daily is an opportunity for us to look at what it is we appreciate about being here. We have a roof over our heads. We have clothes on our back. We have food in our bellies. And the people in our lives who love us and whom we love. It comes down to the simple things in life. The more we give, the bigger our bowl is, because the more we have to give. As Gary Keller asked in his book, The One Thing, what is the one thing that you could do today that if you did that one thing, it would change the trajectory of your whole life? What is one thing? That's all you have to think about for today. And sometimes it's just as simple as an attitude adjustment. And to wake up on the right side of the bed saying, I love my life. I love who I am. I love what I do. And I love what I'm becoming. One simple thing. Like what the quote says, be happy with what you have while working for what you want. Knowing with God, all things are possible. And so it is.
Thanks, Maureen. I've got my big bowl. It's filled with love and God's gifts, and I am ready to give and to share from my bowl. Absolutely. And let's hear more about that. Let's affirm that truth that she just shared with us with our affirmation today. Reverend Maggie, what's the affirmation for today?
The affirmation for today, play small, no way. I serve up my good from Spirit's big bowl. Please say the affirmation with me. Play small, no way. I serve up my good from Spirit's big bowl.
Yes, indeed. Serving up my good from Spirit's big bowl. Serve up my good through the revealing prayer. Serve up our good through the revealing treatment. Let's do that right now. This is what I know. There is one life. That life is God. That life is my life. It is your life. It's the life of everything that surrounds us, for there is only the one thing. This is what our founder, Dr. Holmes, is teaching us. And so it is in this moment that I unify with that one consciousness, with that idea of oneness, and allow the infinity of life itself to be centered right here where I am in this moment. And from this center, I dive into that big bowl of good, and I receive a blessing pressed down and doubled over, and I share that blessing with each and every person in my life, each and every entity which I am in touch with, and in doing so, lift the planet to a higher level of being in harmony and peace and in joy with all. I know this word that I speak removes any sense of lack or limitation from consciousness. It brings us to a place of understanding that there is a presence and a power that desires only for us the most harmonious experience of life possible. And so I step into that possibility with this word right now. I step into the good with this word right now. I step into the expectation with this word right now. I step into the awareness and the allowance of that good to fall into my being, into my consciousness, and into the witnessing space of here in time and place, so that I know that I walk with peace. I walk with joy. I walk with prosperity. I walk in love. As our dear friend Dee tells us, love prevails. Therefore, I open my heart right here and now to allow the blessing of good to flow forth from me like a wave across the sea into all that I see here and now. If you're feeling this presence with me, if you're feeling that deep conviction of knowing that there is a power and a life that is here to use you and is using you, that you can also use. We share in this understanding with a deep sense of gratitude and release this understanding into a law that is ready to receive the word and deliver the blessing here and now. And so it is.
I brought you a great song that I wish I had written because it's amazing. It's from the musical Dear Evan Hansen, and it's about knowing that you're not alone, and whenever you feel lost, you will be found. Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall, no one would hear? Well, let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand. And oh, someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, you'll reach up and rise again. Lift your head and look around. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, you'll reach up and rise again. Lift your head and look around. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found.
Phew. Thank you, Dennis. Beautiful song. Beautiful song. And one of the beautiful things that I think about our community in this idea of being found is that I get touched when I think about it, is how we find ourselves and find that space of love in our hearts to share with each and every person in our community. That we walk this shared journey together. And as we do so, we're able to put our arms around and open our hearts to, and then to move our feet into the expression of our principles in the world to make a difference in the world. And that difference is made in sweat equity, but it's also made in a financial way of giving to our center. And this is that time when we open ourselves up to the giving aspect of our service. And in doing so, Yes, it is about making your financial commitment, but the financial commitment is a representation of our practicing the law of circulation, knowing that as we dip into the big bowl of good and share that good, we receive good back. And that's what we're moving through in this moment. This is what we affirm when we say this affirmation of abundance each week, and also give you the various ways that we can give. So let's first talk about the various ways we can give, and here they are. You can support our spiritual community by visiting our website, cslcme.org/donating. You text the word give to 805-600-5677, or you may simply call our church office right after the service at 805-527-0870. Did I say right after the service? You can call the office anytime. Leave a message if no one answers, and we will call you back, because you know what? We're all about receiving your support and sharing the good that we receive with all that we can. And here's how we affirm our good with this Simi Valley affirmation of abundance. Divine love is doing its perfect work here and now. Divine love harmonizes. Divine love adjusts. Divine love prospers. Divine love foresees everything and richly provides every good thing for CSL Simi Valley now. Divine love is victorious. Here are this week's announcements, followed by our blessing from Reverend Maggie.
Oh, I'm grateful for everyone that has donated to this center today, knowing that it keeps us alive and going. Thank you. So let's just do a little prayer, shall we? With gratitude for all that we have, that everything that comes in every day, we know that this center thrives and evolves, and we're here for everyone to know and uplift. We are so grateful for everyone here and everyone listening and open to our message and to this center. I'm so grateful for everyone here. I release these words into the law knowing it's done. And together we say, and so it is.
Thanks, Reverend Maggie. One announcement that was not in the video announcements, and I love the song that goes with that. Thank you, Cherie, for the gratitude song. It's so beautiful. One of the announcements that was not in the video of the announcements is Opera Virch. There will not be an Opera Virch this week, nor will there be one next week. So come back for Opera Virch the week of, I think, Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, Memorial Day weekend we'll have Opera Virch again, then a couple more Opera Virches, and then Opera Virch after that, after the 20th, will be on the patio. Wait a minute. Can we still do Opera Virch? We'll have to do social distancing. This is so complicated, this coming back together again. There's a lot of work involved in that. But the important thing is living in the present. So the present moment is, in the very near future, there will not be an Opera Virch. That near future being today. Boy, that was a lot of babbling there. Let's just go to the closing benediction and have a short message for you after that. But before that, let's go to the benediction, which says, I'm at home in the heart of God. My life is anchored in truth. I can never be separate. I live in the consciousness of peace. I release all fear. I am living love. Taking a breath for a moment. So I can make it through this next part because my heart is it's racing. It's how spirit shows up sometimes in the most interesting ways, most mysterious ways. Dennis offered a song this week that is a tribute to a friend of his. Actually, I think two friends of his apparently have made their transitions. And the idea behind the song is that we shouldn't play it safe. That we should dive into that big bowl that Dr. Maureen was telling us about, that Maggie was affirming in the affirmation, and live life to its fullest. And I am thinking right now of one of our dear members who does so much for the center, who's also worked for the center, who is going through this pain of loss this week, and that's our dear friend Lane Taylor, whose husband Al made a transition this week. I don't think any of us were prepared for it. So the song that Dennis sent happened prior to that. It's really interesting how that works. But I want to share it with you now. And I want to dedicate this to our friend, Al Taylor, and the family, the Taylor family, Lane, Danny, Kelly, Edith, and all those that we don't know, but that we love. Here's Dennis.
I got a little song I'd like to do for you. It's kind of a dedication to a dear friend of mine who has since made her transition. She was a very special person in my life who just lived her life with such gusto, and I really admire that. I feel like I sometimes kind of play it safe. So this one is for her. And she reminded me of another friend of mine who lived in Paris. She'd walk around barefoot. She's crazy. She smiled without looking and stumbled into the sand. The water was freezing. She spent a month sneezing, but said she would do it again. Here's to the ones who dream, foolish as they may seem. Here's to the hearts that ache. Here's to the mess we make. She captured a feeling, a sky with no ceiling, a sunset inside a frame. She lived in her liquor, died with a flicker. I'll always remember the flame. Here's to the ones who dream. Here's to the hearts that ache. Here's to the mess we make. She told me a bit of madness is key to give us new colors to see. Who knows where it will lead us? And that's why they need us. So bring on the rebels, the ripples from pebbles, the painters and poets and plays. And here's to the ones who dream, foolish as they may seem. Here's to the hearts that break. Here's to the mess we make. I trace it all back to then. Her and the snow and the sand.